Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today's first video. Go to USA forecast, today's first video. So, as was on a Wednesday on YouTube, we're having a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for the United States. We'll extend out beyond that with CFSV2 for the next 4 weeks as well. That takes into the second half of December, and I shall get on that for you very shortly. Just say, going to be a busy day at GWV today. So, we're going to have a 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Europe coming up after this video later on this afternoon. And then no live stream today. Normally we'd be live streaming 6 o'clock on Wednesday, but no live stream today because at 8 p.m. we will be premiering the GWV.com Winter 2021 forecast for the United Kingdom. And yeah, you'll be able to watch the premiere with me. I'll be in the live chat with all of you. You'll be able to watch the premiere with me at 8 p.m. on YouTube and across all GWV's platforms. So a big evening coming up this evening. And I shall see you for the premiere. But starting us off, of course, today is USA forecast. So let's get on with that. Just say that these USA forecasts are YouTube exclusive, so you will need to be subscribed to our channel and click all notifications so you're notified when we are releasing these videos. Right, you can start in the tropical Atlantic. Very little going on now. Things are much quieter. There is this disturbance area just here. It's a very long way from America. It's only got a 10% chance of cyclone invasion in the next 2 and 5 days, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that. This is the GFS midnight run forecast for the Atlantic Ocean, particularly focusing on the tropics, of course. So let's just see if we get any more disturbed areas developing. So we've got something just there in the middle of the tropical Atlantic, just there. So, I mean, just an area of low pressure, really like a disturbance area. I don't think we have to worry too much about that. And it kind of fizzles out anyway in the middle of the ocean. We're at the end of the season now. You know, we've gone past the end of the season, actually. Because it's been a very active season, we can't rule out the chance that we might get significant, you know, one final significant development. It looks like there's something developing just there. Just off the Gulf Coast, around the Gulf Coast of the States. So that develops into like an area of low pressure in the southeastern corner of the United States. I don't think that will be a trouble storm. I think that'll just be an area of low pressure. Overall, it does look as though things are a lot quieter now in the tropical Atlantic, as you would expect this late in the season. But as I say, because it's been a very active hurricane and tropical storm season, you know, it's been hyperactive. It's been a very big season. We could still get a late developer at some point through this December. But the GFS midnight run is not forecasting anything there of significance. So we should wait and see. You know, we'll wait and see about that and see if anything does pop up. But we probably won't look at tropical Atlantic again. You know, in the USA forecast for the time being. I think we'll leave off looking until or unless something actually develops. So we're past the end of the season now, official end of season. So unless something actually does develop, I don't think we'll look at the tropical Atlantic any further. Until next year, of course. Right, so these are the 500 millibar height and flow charts from Penn State University for the next week's 10 days. For the United States, we've got the ECMWF on the left, and the GFS is over on the right. So 500 millibars in there, in that's high pressure, low pressure, up being moved around by jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, yellow, orange, red, high pressure. You can see that with the ECM, there's a ridge of above average heights through the central western part of the states in the 7-10-day time frame, for a trough of below average heights, low pressure on the eastern side of the United States. So that will start to pull down some colder air with it. So it could be, we could be seeing signs of things going colder in around sort of 8-day, 8, 9, 10, and beyond perhaps into that east and northeast part of America. The GFS does not really show that though. The GFS is quite different. So it has like a trough low pressure off the east coast in the Atlantic, but not really pulling down the jet stream into the east and northeast like the ECM does. Has a ridge through the Midwest and then a trough low pressure sort of up the west coast or on the western side anyway. So these models are actually quite different from one another in the 7 to 10 day time frame. The jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So yeah, I mean, the ECM looks like it's the coldest of the two in around the 10 day time frame. These are 500 millibar height anomaly. No, they're not. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. For Buffalo in New York today. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Buffalo. Starting off a little bit cold average at the moment. Temperatures are going to lift up in the next couple of days. Generally quite mild through to next week, possibly signs of quite a big drop in temperature though taking place around the middle part of December. Just here, have got some very, very cold ensemble members beginning to appear. Some of these ensemble members are actually going down to around minus 20 at 850 HPA. So second half of December looks like we could start to bring in some much colder into the far north and into the far northeast. Of course, that is extended range, but if it comes off, brutal cold could be on the way into the second half of December for the northern and eastern part of America. Relatively dry as well, ready for time of year. There will be some precipitation around, but overall, given that we are now into winter, it's going to be relatively dry, I think, until later on. And again, as it goes potentially much colder, could also start to turn much more unsettled. And of course, you have to start batching then the chance of a lot of snow as the temperature becomes brutally cold potentially. Temperature anomalies for the United States from the 2nd to 10% look like that. So most northern parts of states looking milder than average. Colder than average across southern and southeastern parts of America, and probably near normal out in the west, really, but very mild sort of in the far north states, stopping towards Canada for the weekend. Precipitation anomalies look like that. Most parts of America looking relatively dry. There will be some precipitation around, but overall, yes, that is quite a dry sort of anomaly from the 2nd through to the 10th of December. This is how the GFS is currently looking, men. So quite a bit of high pressure, especially through those central and western parts of states. There is this trough low pressure up towards Canada. There's digging some cold air into extreme northeast. We see this on the upper air temperature showing that the far northeast is a little bit colder. Generally, of course, under this high pressure, we will have frost and frosty conditions under the area of high pressure. But in terms of like the proper, very cold upper air temperatures from Canada, they are absent. So it's a relatively mild scene, really, across most parts of the states at the moment, certainly for the time of year. So that's how things look tomorrow. Again, a lot of high pressure influences from many parts of America. That cold air in the northeast looks like it's being pushed back up in towards Canada as well. Another little shot of cold air just trying to come down into the Midwest. But again, most parts of the states looking relatively mild, I think, as we go into weekend. This area of low pressure is developing in the east. That could bring rain and snow to eastern parts of the country. By Sunday, there could be some snow in the east and the northeast again as this low pressure exits out into the Atlantic and pulls down some rather colder air in Canada once again. High pressure then sort of takes over in many parts of America during the early part of next week. It never goes away from like the west and the central states, but it starts to extend over towards the Midwest and into the east as well. That's the middle of next week, so still a lot of high pressure influences, really the coldest of the year, again being kept at bay into Canada. Most parts of America for the time of year look relatively mild. We're moving up towards day 10 now. It's starting to turn much more unsettled. This area of low pressure beginning to push southwards from Canada. There's a big temperature contrast with this. So on the eastern side, we are pulling up much milder southerly winds from the Gulf of Mexico, but on the other side of the low, on the eastern side of the low, we're pulling down much colder air now from Canada through into those central states. And this area of low pressure it starts to push eastwards, and as we go through to day 10, which is Saturday the 12th of December, and that really starts to dig in those cold winds from the north. Look at the upper air temperatures now, a big surge of very cold air beginning to move out of Canada and down into those far central northern states. It is still mild or very mild though on the eastern side of America, but this cold air is beginning to force its way southwards. It develops a very significant, major winter storm through the weekend of the 12th and the 13th of December. This sort of contrast of temperatures, of course, is fueling this area of low pressure. Heavy rain, of course, on the eastern side of the low. Heavy snow, blizzards on the northern and western side of the low pressure look at the contrast in the upper air temperatures there per day, just beyond day 10, 13th of December. Very mild up the eastern side, brutal cold, digging a long way south, all the way down to Texas, on the western side of this area of low pressure. And that low pressure then pushes eastwards over towards the eastern side of America as we move towards the middle part of December, taking those cold upper air temperatures with them, becoming even more severely cold over Canada though. And there's going to be another plunge as we get to the end of this GFS run. This area of low pressure that's just here around Canada, again another major winter storm, and starts to push southwards as well as come to the end of the GFS run, which is to Friday, 18th of December, and that is bringing absolutely brutal cold with it. Look at these upper air temperatures as far as we go with the GFS run to Friday, the 18th of December. Really severely cold air digging in to most northern and eastern midwestern parts of America. Absolutely brutal there, and would be bringing blizzards across many northern and eastern parts of the states. Where it's a very long way off this. It's like 2 weeks away, over 2 weeks away. But it's just an indication. But as we start moving up towards Christmas, towards holiday season, we may be seeing indications of some very severely cold weather digging in across northern and east parts of America. This will be ECMWF. Looks like it can be a little bit colder around day 10, but we don't go any further with the ECM, unfortunately, so we can't see whether it would start to dig in that brutal cold air into the run up towards Christmas. But anyway, this is how things are looking tomorrow with the ECM. Again, relatively mild for most parts of the states, but we do have some colder air digging into that far northeastern corner. Through to the weekend, again, most of these central western states dominated by high pressure is low pressure towards the northeast, pulling in some colder air from Canada into the northeast, so there could be some snow in the northeast. Otherwise, most parts of the states, so I think, are looking relatively dry over the weekend. So this is how the upper air temperatures are looking. So most western states looking mild over towards, but of course, at a high pressure, it could be frost, but with the upper air temperatures, most parts of the states looking mild over the weekend. So over in the east, it's colder, so we've got a surge of cold air through the Midwest, and this area of low pressure, of course, has mild air like on its eastern side, but cold air digging in on its northern and western side. Low pressure moves back up towards Canada as we go through to the early part of next week, but it stays pretty chilly in this northeastern corner. I think the ECM is generally colder, but Europe is generally colder compared to the GFS through next week for this northeastern corner. But again, most parts of America are actually relatively mild for the time of the year. There's the upper air temperatures, for example, at 192 hours, Thursday the 10th of December. And you see that most parts of the states are mild, and even in the north and the northeast, where it is colder, I mean, it's nothing particularly out of the ordinary for the time of the year. It's probably a little bit milder than average, even though, you know, that's the coldest part of America at that point. Even there, it's probably a bit milder than average, really, for time. But yeah, heading up towards day 10, that's how we look. So yes, we are pulling in those winds from the north-northeast, this trough low pressure over on the east side, a ridge through the Midwest, low pressure beginning to get going out into the far north part of the state. So upper air temperatures are becoming colder in the northeast, so yeah, we are digging in some properly cold air from Canada into the northeast by day 10. GFS doesn't go as cold as that around day 10, but it does become brutally cold afterwards. Out in the west, generally it is quite a mild scene once again. Day number 2, the Euro is definitely the coldest for around days 5 to 10. GFS is not as cold for around days 5 to 10, but the GFS does get extremely cold with blizzards, you know, as it gets around 2 weeks out. Days sort of 13, 14, 15 become exceptionally cold across most parts of America with the GFS. For a run up to Christmas. This is how CMFB2 is looking finally. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. First week period takes us from 1st to the 7th of December. The coming week is dominated by quite a lot of high pressure, really, away from the south and southeast anyway. We have got some lower pressure. So, you know, a lot of dry weather coming up, and for the time of year, relatively mild as well. Week 2 is the 8th to 14th December. Trough low pressure in the east, then a ridge is pulling out into the west. So that's going to start to pull colder air down through the Midwest and into eastern parts of America. Where to now? We're going to go there. So that's week 3, which is going to be the 15th, 21st of December. So a trough in the east and in the northeast and through the Midwest. Again, going to be a big dip in the jet stream with that, pulling down very cold air from Canada. Potentially ridge over on the western side will keep western parts of the states looking quite a bit milder. And then week 4, which is 22nd, 28th of December, looks like we probably start to bring high pressure in from the west, probably bringing the jet stream, moving jet stream northwards. So probably becoming a little bit less cold through those midwestern and northeastern states. Temperature anomalies look like that. So a north-south split, cold on average week ahead in the south, mild on average up in the north, substantially so as we get up towards Canada. Week 2 is the 8th to 14th December, colder than average in the east, but most parts of the states actually looking mild in week 2. Week 3 goes much colder. This is the 15th to 21st December, around when the GFS is seeing that brutal cold setting in. So this third week of December goes very, very cold from Canada and through Midwest and into the east. Really, really cold. You can see where the dip in the jet stream is there, milder, but you know, even there, milder in the west, but even there still is actually quite cold. And then week 4, which is the 22nd, it's going to be the 22nd, 28th of December, goes milder in the north and in the west. In the Midwest, still quite cold, though, in the east. So could be some cold weather, and, of course, with plenty of snow on the ground for those eastern and northeastern states for this Christmas. Precipitation finally, so a bit wetter than average in the northeast. That's a mix of rain and snow. Of course, most midwestern, central and western states are drier than average, though, in the week ahead. Just quite a dry scene for week 2, really. This is the 8th to 14th December. Most parts of states looking pretty dry then. Week 3 shows wetter than average conditions or above average precipitation on this east side. That's all going to be snow, of course, as those very cold winds dig in from Canada. Through the Midwest, it's relatively dry, but will be extremely cold. Any precipitation that does fall there will be snow and drier than average out in the west. Remember, these are anomalies, so even where it's showing dry, there can still be precipitation, especially here in Midwest, and some of it would, all of it would be snow. If it's extremely cold, of course. And then week 4, which is the 22nd, 28th of December, signals are weakening, but probably still favouring relatively dryish conditions then, I think. Right then, so if you enjoyed this forecast for USA, then please can you give us a like on the video. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's get that there. And next week we'll do it all over again, Wednesday next week, and we may have a little bit more on the chance of some extremely cold weather coming to northern parts of America for the run-up to Christmas. We're going to be back later on with a 10 to 14 day video update for the UK and for Northern Europe, and then 8 PM tonight we are premiering our winter forecast. So I'll see you soon, but that's all for now, and thanks.